Hello, in today's video we'll be talking about tires and what all these letters and numbers on tires mean. We'll be exploring how to know if you're getting a good tire for your car, how you can tell how new or old the tire that you're getting or that you have is, and which tire would be best for your car or truck or any vehicle. So let's get started with our trip around the tire. We'll start with the last thing you probably noticed, other than the tire size and the tire name. Since it's printed in bigger, bolder print, we got these digits before the tire size, which is essentially our tire's part number, which in this case is a Nitto NT5 G2A tire. Next, we're followed up by the type of tire that we have. Most commonly, you'll notice a P in front of these numbers, but as you notice, this one is blank, and this indicates that the tire is Eurometric, which is essentially the same tire as a P, which stands for passenger tire, but a Eurometric tire has a higher load rating than its P counterpart. And here we got the car's old tires, which did have a P designation, meaning it's a passenger tire, but there are also a few other tire designations like LT, which stands for light truck, and T, which stands for spare. These tires all vary based on their purposes, like special trailer is only good for trailers, light truck is better for heavy loads, passenger tires and Eurometric tires for your daily driver or weekend needs, depending on the specs we'll talk about later in this video. Continuing on, we got our 275, which this number on your tire will indicate your tire's width in millimeters. So our tire has a surface area of 275 millimeters. Followed by the tire's aspect ratio, or also considered the tire's height. This 40 indicates the percent of your tire's width. So to calculate this tire's actual height in millimeters, it's pretty easy. You take out a calculator or your phone's calculator and enter the tire's width, which in this case is a 275, and multiply it by 0.40, which is the number shown on the tire with a dot in front of it to calculate the percent. And that gives us a sidewall height of 110 millimeters. Let's do the same calculation on this truck's tire, just for another example. Once again, we grab the calculator, enter the tire's width, which is 225, and multiply that by its aspect ratio, entered as a 0.75, giving us a sidewall height of 168.75 millimeters. You may also notice these yellow or red dots on new tires, and these are used to balance the tire. The yellow dot goes mounted next to the valve stem for best balance, while the red dot indicates the tire's high point, which when the wheel has a marking for its low point, will line up to that, red superseding the yellow in that case. Continuing on to the Z. This letter on this tire indicates a top speed of 149 miles per hour, but Z before used to be the highest rated tire that we needed, but now the speed ratings are much higher, so we have another speed rating, which supersedes that, and we'll talk about it later in this video. Next we got the R, which stands for radial, meaning that the inner frame construction is arranged radially so that the cords run parallel across. Some tires may also have a D, and those would be known as bias ply tires. Those have an inner frame construction that runs diagonally from the direction of travel. Next we got the wheel size that the tire fits on, meaning that this tire has an inner lip constructed for a 17-inch wheel. And since these tires are tubeless, that lip seals the air in, so you want to make sure that's a tight seal between the rim and the tire. Whenever you're purchasing a tire, you'll always want to look for this label, which tells you which tire size and type best suits your vehicle. You may notice that this label has a P on the tire size. One thing to note that a Eurometric tire is perfectly fine to use as a replacement because it's a higher rated tire. But if your vehicle asks for a Eurometric tire, a P tire may have a lower load rating and would not be recommended. Continuing down the tire, we got this 102, which is the tire's load rating. And this number is used to tell you how much weight your tire can safely support, properly inflated. And the car does have 4 tires, so the weight would be all distributed and accounted for based on that. But the lower this number, the less the tire can support, while the higher this number, the more it can support, which I made a little chart to kind of give you an idea. Next we got this W, which is the tire speed rating. This letter indicates the speed capability of the tire, and I posted a little chart to help you with some of the letters, which what they would convert to. But the higher up the alphabet you go, the higher the tire speed capability. On some tires you may notice this M plus S, which just indicates that the tire is a mud and snow capable tire. Continuing down the tire, here we got some additional specs of the tire, telling us that this is a tubeless tire, meaning that the air is held directly between the tire and the rim. Extra load indicating that this tire is capable of higher loads than the more typical tire of this make. Steel belted radial, indicating that this radial tire is constructed of steel belts. Here we got our treadwear followed by a number. This number indicates the lifespan of the tire. The lower the number, the less the tire will last, while the higher the number, the higher the treads will take to wear down. Followed next by our traction rating. which is basically the tire's ability to stop on the wet pavement. This AA rating being the highest rating, meaning it stops the best, while the C rating being the lowest rating you can get. Now for our temperature rating, which is the tire's resistance to generating heat at speed. A being the highest, meaning that it resists generating heat at speeds higher than 115 miles per hour, while B's ranging from 100 to 115, and C's from 85 to 100. Some tires may have a directional arrow, and if you notice rotation on the tire, that means that the tread pattern is meant to rotate in one direction, which if not installed in the proper direction, in the event that you drive in the rain, the water may not be evacuated fast enough, potentially causing hydroplaning. Next we got our Dlt Stamp, which indicates this tire is manufactured to Department of Transportation standards. Next we got the 735N, which would be the plan code where the tire was produced, and the tire size code. Followed by the 7HH, which is an option code by the manufacturer. And finally we got our tire's manufacture date. This is read in weeks and years, so this tire was manufactured on the 25th week of 2017. Further on down we got the max load which this tire is capable of supporting, which is 1,874 pounds at a max pressure of 50 psi. But you always want to follow the label on your vehicle for the recommended tire pressure. Followed next by the composition of the tire. The treads being composed of 2-ply steel, 2-ply polyester, and 2-ply nylon, while the sidewall composed of 2-ply polyester. And of course the tire has to have a safety warning label, which tells you not to over or underinflate a tire, or not to be mounted by an untrained person, and finally not to exceed 40 psi when you're seating the bead, and only mount on a 17-inch rim. And finally let's talk about these rim protectors or scuff guards that some tires may have. This is a tough rubber shoulder that's meant to protect your rim in case of a flat or if you lightly rub against a curb, although not every tire has this, because certain rims may have wheel covers, and these type of tires don't allow those to fully sit properly. And this is what a tire without the sidewall protection looks like. Well, I hope you were able to find this video helpful and informative. If you did, please click that thumbs up button to support my video and my channel. And please subscribe if you haven't done so.